Hey everyone, how's it going? This is M.L.S. Weech, and I am back home in Maryland. It was great to see family. It was great to be with loved ones. I'm getting into the home routine, and I'm glad that you guys were patient with me and getting videos out. And now I have the privilege of being in the comfort of my own home while I talk to you guys about book covers. If you're new to the channel, please yeah, if you like the content, feel free to give it a like and a subscribe, click the bell notification. And if you really feel generous, I'd be honored if you went to my author link, which is also down below, look at some of my books and decide if you'd like to try any of them out. What goes on is once a week, I look through and I find 7 book covers that I think are good. I talk about why they work. I talk about a few things that I might like to make them better. And then I let you vote on your favorite in the link down below. There are a lot of things down below that I'd like you to look at. But for now, let's just look at book covers in general. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the winner for the book cover of the 3rd week of July. And that is The Return of the Sorceress by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I thought that this cover really stood out among the crowd. There were some good covers there. I always try to pick covers that are nice and good to look at, but the light and the detail and the color of this cover just really, really shine. Big ups to Silvia Moreno Garcia and whoever it was that designed this cover. Congratulations. This book will join 3 more book covers in the July book cover of the month overall poll, which you'll be able to start voting on next week, because this week what we're doing is looking at the nominees for week 4 book cover of the week. The first one we're going to talk about is A Desert Thorn by Bradley P. And I believe it's pronounced Belio. Belio. And if I did mispronounce it, I'm very, very sorry. It's not my finest art form to pronounce names, but this cover is stunning and beautiful. I really like, normally when you have a single tone with some color splash, you're going to stand out when you do that. But this muted brown, obviously desert is a theme, so that makes a kind of sense. But using the 2 tones of more of a rust color really, really kind of stood out. And that figure in the center is just amazing. It's not typically a good idea to center a subject in a photo unless they're balanced by something or they're filling the frame. But in this case, you know, it works. I like it. I especially like if you look at the way the sword comes behind the S but in front of the E, real good layering. And anytime you can have layering in your photo, you're going to add depth to your photo. It's going to do a lot of things for you. This is a beautiful cover, and it was pretty easy to pick this one for one of the 7 that I'm looking at this week. Cover number 2 we're going to look at is The Burning Day and Other Strange Stories by Charles Payseur. And again, I hope it's Payseur. I don't mean any offense if I pronounce it wrong. If you like these authors and you know how their name is pronounced, feel free to I don't know how you would type in the phonetic way to say it, but I'd be more than happy to see it. This is very interesting color. I like the circular pattern. I like the way that they bring all these colors together. Centering text in a ring is a good way to trap the eye and keep it in there. The font's a little hard to read, but it's there. I can make it out. I like the figure in the foreground. The author text is a little bit challenging to read. So, you know, if there's a knock on it, it's that it's hard to read the text. But I really, really enjoyed the way they brought these colors together in that swirling pattern. It's pretty pleasing to the eye. I really enjoyed looking at this cover. And balancing the figure, so the figure not only centers the weight of the overall design, but connects the eye from the main text, which is probably where they go first, all the way down to the author text, which I think is also why it's helping the legibility on this. So that's our second cover. Charles Payseur did a nice job with either selecting their designer or understanding what he was looking for in their cover. That allows us to talk about our third one, which is a pretty different looking cover in this regard. We're looking at The Wind and the Willows. The Wind in the Willows, my apologies, by Kenneth Grahame. And I think this is just such a clever use of text. Um, this has a very anime feel. I can't remember the name of the anime, but it's like a little person, and they live in a big house. Like they live in a normal person's house, and they do these little excursions to get whatever supplies they need. Really kind of harkens to that kind of feel, to that kind of tone. It's not a knock on the anime that I can't remember the name of it. It's just I saw it the one time. But it really has that kind of nice feel to it. I like that they connected the color of the font with the pattern of the trees. The birds are actually a very nice touch on this. So while this doesn't have as much going on, I just think it's so clever. I think it's so cute. I think it's a nice use of text in a design theme, and it's well executed. The next cover we're going to look at, and really this is one of the more diverse sets of covers that I've been looking at for a while. Like usually I realize by the third cover I accidentally found a theme. Not so much the case this time around. But here we have a cover called Elven, and it was compiled by Stacy Jane McIntosh. And this is interesting. If this were photography, they call it high key, where you purposefully overexpose parts of it. And what that does is it ups the contrast by a bazillion percent, and it really makes color stand out even more. So if you do high key on a photo subject and they got bright eyes, those eyes are really going to stand out. If they got unique hair colors, that's going to stand out. And so the purples and the reds and the other muted nature covers that are surrounding it really stand out with that purposefully brighter than bright, whiter than white face. Really does a lot. Not the biggest fan of the font choice is okay, but the font color, super hard to read when you got like a white glow with a white emboss over a white cover. I would not have recommended that. I might have used that purple, which would have helped connect it and unify the design a little bit more. And then I think, yeah, I see all this work put in here, and then compiled by Stacy Jan McIntosh. This font doesn't in any way connect to the rest of the overall design, and it really stands out in a way that's not the best. But the art and the actual font choice are really worthy of note and deserving of being recognized in some way. So congrats on good job on the designer. And you know, you can only get better in things. And besides, I'm just a person who's looking at book covers. Next cover we're looking at is Wesley Cross's Spare Parts. I really this kind of harkens back to iRobot for me. I like the rusted look of the American flag with the kind of battered, junked together Android appearing shape. I think it's fascinating. A little interested that I have like a part of an ear. I think if you move the head back so it's kind of cutting off right here, it's going to be a little less distracting because there's like an ear hole like right there. So I don't know that I'd have done that, or maybe even put a little bit forward, but I'd bring it back a little bit just to make it more about the profile, and the ear isn't such a dominant element in the overall design. I love the use of the text, maybe not the separation of it, this Kelter thing. It's a thing that people do, but it's I kind of feel like it's neutral, and in design, neutral is actually bad. The goal of design, especially composition, is to have all the elements lead the eye where you want them to go. And so when you have elements that distract, even if they're not visually unpleasing, even if they're not distracting, they hold the eye and prevent it from moving through the design. So it's not the worst thing in the universe, but it's something that I noticed. Overall, I like the tonality through the whole design. I like the use of the color, the use of color on the author text. I have just flown back from the other side of the country, so I've been a little jet lagged. So we're trying to get through this and get through these covers. So bear with me if it takes me a moment to get these terms out. But it's a pretty cool looking cover, and it really stood out amongst the crowd. Believe it or not, this week was pretty hard. I went through at least 50 pages on Amazon to find these 7 covers. And if you want to try that challenge out, go through 50 pages on Amazon and looking at covers. You'd be surprised how many kind of tend to look the same, how many don't look that great to begin with. And when you're trying to pick out 7 you think people might want to vote for and support, it can be pretty daunting. But we persevere. The next cover we're looking at is Future Shot by George Bardmessier maybe. And I appreciate the use of the font, how they broke the font up, but to create a visual effect in and of itself. It's not as disparate as the other cover that we looked at, so it's not creating gaps that are going to trap the eye. You know, I don't know too many snipers, even with my military experience. I just don't know who would really carry a rifle in that manner. And if it's something you do, like by all means, let me know. I'm more of a 2-hand under kind of person, but it's not, you know, the guy's certainly not handling it completely improperly. The figure's well done. The patch looks cool. The layering created by the embossing of the various elements, especially because it's harkening to time. Whatever's going on, the cover really implies that this gun somehow has the ability to affect the past, which is actually kind of an interesting premise. And if I were a younger man who read as much as I used to read, this might be a book that I at least check out on Audible to kind of get it, because the premise interests me. But the cover stood out to me because you have a dominant figure with some nice emboss in the back. The font did some interesting stuff. And, you know, I like military stuff, so it's going to stand out more to me. And the last cover we're going to look at is Eden by C.E. Smith. This is beautiful. You're going to see it here in just a moment. This is beautiful. I've actually tried a few times to vector fire or build fire in Photoshop, and I never had this degree of success. So to have these flame-ish wings, to have this beautiful orange, I promise you the amount of time and effort this artist put in is amazing. And they did even more things by picking a font that's unique but not distracting to unify the piece all together. I love the clean black background, the single reflected light, the specular highlight on the letter Y. This cover is not, it doesn't have as many visual elements as other covers. The one I immediately remember is The Wind in the Willows. That cover had more things happening. But this cover shows that sometimes less is more. You got wings, you got a person, you got the text, done. But all of that just stands out. And when you put the time and effort like this artist put into this, you do those 3 things well, they all stand out. They're all beautiful. They really stand out. There are a lot of really, really amazing covers, but I would not personally be shocked if people gravitated toward this one, because simplistic, quick read covers are always more regarded, even though there might be more going on, or there might be a different style that's more unique. These kinds of covers, they tend to stand out in a crowd. I don't know if it's my favorite of the 7, but I just love it. I enjoy it. I think all the detail is amazing. I love the cover. So it's really, really, really awesome, even if it's not as all-encompassing as some of the other covers that we saw this week. Not knocking it. I'm just saying, when I vote, I don't know what I will vote for instead of this, but there are some where Desert Durham stands out, The Wind of the Willows. Even though it took me a long time to get 7 covers this week, I think what that does is that means I found 7 really, really, really good covers, because they stood out against a whole lot of slush. And so it kind of makes it more fun for me. I'm certainly hoping that you'll take time to vote in the link below, because I'm excited to see what covers people like. As always, I really appreciate it when you pick this winner. Next week, we'll be able to start picking the best cover for the whole month of July, when we have our 4 nominees for the monthly award. Please take a moment to vote down below. Thank you for joining me as always. I will see you next week, and God be with you.